Hello friends, it's Kat. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to a new setup. This will probably change up a little bit in the next few weeks, but I'm really excited to have this fixed up for more videos on this channel and also my gaming channel. And welcome to the first of hopefully many TBRs on this channel. I'm really excited to do this for the first time, and if you're coming from my book haul, you might know that I'm just getting back into reading again, falling back in love with, immersing myself in all these stories and discovering old and new favorites thanks to BookTube. So my TBR this month might not be as long as others, but also possibly a little too ambitious for myself. Again, just getting back into it. But also November tends to be a very busy month for me as it's leading toward the holidays. But on top of that, there are a few games that came out this month and are coming out this month that I really want to play and cover on the channel. If you're not subscribed, by the way, all the links will be below, and while you're down there, feel free to drop a like on this video and subscribe to this channel as well, as I'm really excited to be back on here more consistently going into the new year. But I wanted to share a couple books that I've already started reading in the beginning of this month, and the rest that I hope to finish for the rest of November. Again, maybe a little bit ambitious for myself to finish, but I'm hoping to challenge myself and also maybe putting this list out there for all of you to see. It will also hold me accountable to stay on top of my reading lists, and if you wanted to join me in reading some of these books as well, that would be super fun, and please feel free to let me know below if you do, or share what's on your November TBR. Before we get started, on the last video you guys really liked the mug that I was using, and this is the mug of the day, let's just say. Such a cute mug. My mom gifted this to me for Thanksgiving, I believe. It's so cute. It says, "I will always woof you," because I have a little doggo whom I adore very, very much. And also, this is my favorite shade of blue. So it's perfect, and I can never have enough mugs. So the first book is one that I talked about in my haul, which is Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have read a little bit more since then, but not as much. Like I mentioned in the haul, I do enjoy jumping from book to book, so I'm usually on like 2 to 3 books at a time of different genres or different pacing, and this is one of the books that I'm currently working on, so I might not be going through it as quickly as I would like or as others might, but so far I'm really enjoying it. Night Circus seems to be a very popular book. A few of you commented that you really enjoyed this book in my last video. It was also a book I ended up picking up because of BookTube. But if you may not know, Night Circus is about a magical circus that seems to appear magically at night. So it is a circus that is filled with, wonder and fantasy and magic. And it's about this girl and this boy who pretty much grew up being trained to compete against each other, I suppose. So since they were kids, they were sort of pitted to go into a really fierce competition. Their names are Marco and Celia, but, funny little twist, they end up falling in love. Forbidden romance, Romeo and Juliet, and all of that, but in a circus is kind of what I'm getting from it. Hopefully I continue to enjoy it. The next is one that didn't make it to my haul because I ordered it from somewhere else in Canada and it didn't arrive in time, but nonetheless I'm very excited to have it with me, and it is The Crimson Labyrinth by Yusuke Kishi. Now a little bit about this book. I don't recall anymore which recommendation list or video I must have seen this in, because again, all the books that I've been picking up in the last couple weeks is pretty much from other people's TBRs or their book hauls or their collections or suggestions based on other things that I might like. So somewhere along the way I came across this book, The Crimson Labyrinth, and I could not find it anywhere. It is such an elusive book. It was nowhere in any of the bookstores, not on Amazon, not on thrift books, not in our local, used bookstores. It wasn't even on eBay, and it's not in our libraries as well. This was such an elusive book, and while I was very interested in reading it based on the plot, which is why I started to research it anyway, I think I ended up wanting to read it more just because It was so hard to track down. I finally got lucky and found like a small family-owned used bookstore, online used bookstore in Canada, and they happened to have a copy of this and I had to grab it. It eventually did pop up on Amazon, but it was on sale for I think $200 Canadian, which is insanity. I wanted to find out why this book can't be tracked down. Is it horrible and everybody threw out all their books, or is it that amazing that everyone's holding onto their own copies? Yeah, The Crimson Labyrinth. I will read you what it says on the back because I probably won't be able to explain it as well. On the back it says, from a rising new star of horror comes a killer read that will make you lose track of time and reality. The Crimson Labyrinth is a wicked satire on extremist reality TV in the tradition of The Running Man, if that is indeed what it is. Welcome to the Mars Labyrinth, where things aren't what they seem. Welcome to the world of Kishi, where the plot is gnarly as the humor is twisted. When an unemployed former math major wakes up one day, he wonders if he somehow ended up on the Red Planet. The good-looking young woman with a hearing aid, she says her name is I and that she draws erotic comics for a living, seems to have no clue either as to their whereabouts. Their only leads are cryptic instructions beamed to a portable device. How's the game begun? There is no reset button, no saving, and no continue. Make the wrong move and it's really game over. In the cruel world of the Mars Labyrinth, mercy and compassion are only for the weak or the very, very strong. The stakes are nothing less in your life and apparently a lot of money. If you're a fan of Lost or Battle Royale, don't miss this one. So, I'm really excited to get started on this one. I mentioned also in the haul, I will be referencing a few books from that, but I had purchased The Long Walk from Stephen King because someone else recommended it if you're into Battle Royale style books, and also the popular show right now, The Squid Game, which I love right now. So I think I will enjoy this book a lot, and I'm really eager to find out why it was so hard to track down. I forgot to mention there were no digital copies of this as well. No PDFs, no EPUBs for e-readers or other formats. There were none. I scoured the whole internet for it. I'm excited to add this to my pile of November TBR. The last physical book that I really want to read this month is a graphic novel, and it's actually, I don't know if you can see it, it's somewhere behind me, and it's Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I believe it has 3 volumes. I read graphic novels fairly quickly anyway, so I'm hoping, you know, even though it's a big chonky book that I will still finish it this month. I've always enjoyed horror themed, you know, movies or books or even video games, but I didn't realize that I would be this intrigued by his work just because it is, you know, very gruesome to see, but the stories, which I've only read his collection of short stories before, they really pull you in. It's really eerie and gruesome and disturbing and creepy and all of those descriptive words. All I know about Uzumaki is that it's about the spiral, like the shape of the spiral, and this shape ended up like haunting this girl or this town, and it will be the first full graphic novel series, is that what it's called, that I would finish of Junji Ito, so I'm really excited to get into that. Hopefully I can finish it this month so I can get into more of his books in the following month and the other months to come. The next book or set of books that I really want to read is a set of children's stories that actually comes from a K-drama called It's Okay to Not Be Okay. In the drama, there's this children's book author who sort of writes like a darker version of what you'd think a fairy tale might be, but in those stories it really touches on past that she had as a child, addressing, you know, past traumas or childhood fears that stayed with her through her adulthood and even as a very successful author. Let me actually just grab them real quick. Okay, so they are still sealed because they also just arrived, not in time for the book haul, but very excited to get into this finally. So they're a set of 5 books, and these are the actual copies of the children's books that the character in the show writes, and they also share on the show. So it's really cool that they created like physical copies of these that fans can purchase and also get into if they so please. So they are actually numbered based on how they appear on the show. Like the show touches on, you know, things like mental health and trauma and just the importance of like love and friends and family. And oh yes, so they are in Korean. I will show you all the covers here. I don't quite remember right now all of the titles off the top of my head, but I will try to show it all on the screen. So they are written and published in Korean, as it is from a Korean show, and that's the last book. And I do not speak Korean, no, but I am learning. And I thought that would be so fun to practice with children's books, but not just any children's books. They're the books of one of my most favorite K-dramas of all time and just shows of all time, because again, just the topics that they touch on, and I think that how they delivered the stories and the messages was just perfection. So I am currently trying to study Korean. I just, there's something about, you know, learning another culture and another language that is just so beautiful to me. I love immersing myself in different cultures. I think learning their languages as well is a nice way to immerse myself into that culture, and a nice skill to pick up as well. I speak English, obviously. I also speak Filipino or Tagalog. Not super well anymore, as my family and friends love to point out, but I think I can still speak it just fine. I also know like a very, very basic conversational Spanish. I studied it in uni and I was way more fluent already, but because I'm not able to practice it and I don't have anyone to talk to in Spanish, of course, you know, through the years, it slowly just went away. I also studied French for 3 years, and that's pretty much completely gone. Now I guess I want to Korean, and so far just been having a lot of fun with it, and maybe a little bit of a strange addition to a TBR, but I still am so excited to get into these books. Now we got all the physical books out of the way, I will now share with you the books that I'm reading on my Kindle. One of the 3 books that I'm currently working on besides The Night Circus is Almond. I'm not sure how well that will focus, but I will try to put it up on screen as well. This is Almond by Won Pyung-sun. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. This book is a translated novel from a Korean author, which is really cool. It's about a kid that has alexithymia. Again, sorry if I'm not saying that right. I don't know medical terms. But he has this condition which basically means that he's not able to feel or identify emotions. This is obviously a very big challenge, especially as a kid growing up. He is the target of many bullying. It makes him stand out amongst the other kids in the worst way possible. And pretty much all his life he's felt this like isolation of being different and being called a monster. But something happens later on in his life that makes him realize that he is not alone. And in the synopsis, which I will read really quickly for you as well, so it says the story is, in short, about a monster meeting another monster. One of the monsters is me. Okay, now the next book I'm also currently already reading. I actually started this on the last week of October, so this might be cheating a little bit, but I never finished it. So it's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And this one is about Addie LaRue, who in the beginning of the story was sort of put into this position where she had to make a decision between dying or living a life of immortality. But the big catch is that everyone that she meets, every single, you know, encounter, every person will forget her. Any person that she talks to and, you know, maybe tries to befriend or a romantic interest, pretty much after she leaves or the day is over, they completely forget that any interaction between them happened, and they completely forget who she is and that she ever existed. So it's a very, you know, lonely life and long life since she is an immortal now. But eventually she meets someone who remembers who she is, and that should make for a fun little twist in the story, I hope. I'm only about like 30% of the way in, I want to say. I am enjoying this book so far. My sister could not put this book down. It's my first book that I'm reading of V.E. Schwab, and I mean, besides this book, I hear incredible things about this author as well. So I'm excited to finish my first book of hers and hopefully I end up loving it as well. Now, last but not the least, there are books that I don't yet currently own, but I really want to pick up because a lot of people on YouTube, but also in the comment section of my last video, had recommended that I check out more either fantasy YA books or dark academia books. So a few that I'm really interested in, and I'm choosing which one to buy next, and feel free to help me out and comment below which you recommend. From the synopsis, I'm really interested in reading If We Were Villains by ML Rio. So this on Goodreads says that it's about someone called Oliver Marks, and he just served 10 years in jail for murder he may or may not have committed. And it's a retelling, I believe, of a Shakespeare play, which I do not remember which one it is right now. But what really intrigued me is the last sentence here, which says, "The rest face their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police and themselves that they are blameless." So I love sort of that whole murder mystery aspect of it, and I really used to enjoy Shakespeare as well years ago when I used to read way more. And I really want to dive into a dark academia book because it seems to be all the rage these days, and I can't remember if it's a genre that I was into or if it's a genre that I will even enjoy today. So I'm excited to pick that book up, but also I'm choosing between two more books that I don't yet own, which is two YA fantasies. They're both the first books to a series, so I'm also very careful with deciding which one I want to start because I want to read it to hopefully finish a series and not just, read a bunch of first books to many series. So if you want to help me choose, please feel free to once again. But the first one is Wicked Fox. It is the first book of the Gumiho series by Kat Cho, and it is again a fantasy book set in modern day Seoul. And it says that 18-year-old Gu Mi-young has a secret. She is a gumiho, a nine-tailed fox, who must devour the energy of men in order to survive. So Mi-young crosses paths with Ji-hoon, a human boy who is being attacked by a goblin in the forest. It says, against her better judgment, she violates the rules of survival to rescue the boy, losing her fox speed, her gumiho soul in the process. And I'm sure it can only lead to one thing, which is Mi-young trying to choose between, being a nine-tailed fox or this new romance that has blossomed with Ji-hoon. As someone who's also really getting into K-dramas recently, this sounds like a book I will probably enjoy and get the K-drama vibes, But the other book that I'm trying to choose between this or Wicked Fox is The Keeper of the Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This one is about a half British Reaper, half Japanese Shinigami, which is like a demon who collects souls. And it sounds so interesting as well. So it says she's been collecting souls in the London streets for centuries, but something happens, as it does, and she had to flee from London to Japan. And she's determined to regain the respect of her fellow Reapers, so she was given a task to find and eliminate 3 dangerous yokai demons. She has to learn how far she'll go to claim her place at Death's side. So both very intriguing fantasy worlds. One is like a romance and the other is, I don't know if there will be a romance element, so don't quote me on this, but it seems more like an action adventure type of genre. So if you've read either Wicked Fox or Keeper of the Night, please let me know below which one you might prefer and why, without spoilers, if you don't mind, please and thank you. I really need help in deciding which of these two I want to start. I don't think that I can manage being in, several series right now because of all the other books I also want to read and just other life stuff. So well, anyway friends, that concludes my November TBR or books I want to read this month, and we'll see how well I do by the end of the month. I'm really excited to do my first reading wrap up as well, and I'm so excited to share more things with you finally on this channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked this video, feel free to like this video. Let me know below what books are on your November TBR. Have you already finished some that you absolutely love, or maybe books that I should stay away from even. Thank you so much for watching. As always, have a beautiful day, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.